Hello and welcome to Pod Popper's Place. I'm Penny, and today I am playing with some more of the Better Press. Spellbinders was having a sale, so I picked up these two floral designs and some sentiment plates. I am a huge fan of sunflowers, but when I purchased the sunflower plate, I didn't realize how big it was. It will not fit on an A2 size card. And these sentiments I thought were fabulous. They have a lot of different ones, and it comes with a cutting die, so you can make a whole lot of strips all at once and have them ready to use on hand. The smaller floral plate has a beautiful butterfly, and I just really loved the design. It is a little tricky to set up because you have to make sure you have it the right side up. It's not really obvious without looking at it. I previously covered my base in Press and Seal and left out one of the shims, and I'm going to keep it that way for today's trials. For my first trial, I'm going to use the Butterfly Better Press and use the Spellbinders Better Press paper, and I'm going to use Memento ink because I would like to color this in, and the Better Press ink really doesn't work well for alcohol markers. I do love that the background is metallic, so the plates stick really well, and that there's outlines on the plastic platform to line up your A2 cards, so that really helps to set everything up properly. So I inked this really well with Memento ink, and I want to make sure it's got a good coverage, and I try really hard not to get it on the side because occasionally it will get into the paper if you have a smudge on the side. But as you can see, it printed really, really well. It's nice and crisp, and it is Memento ink, so I can color that. And then the next paper I'm going to try is also with Memento ink, but I'm going to use my just regular cardstock that I like to use for stamping and see how it does on that. And I think it printed just as well on that paper as well. Unfortunately, I did get a slight smudge from some ink on the platform, but as you can see side by side, the Spellbinder paper is on the right and the regular paper is on the left, and they both came out nice and crisp and clean. Next, I'm going to try the Better Press Sentiment Plates strips, and first I'm going to use my preferred cardstock, and I will link that below if you would like to check it out. And I'm going to use Better Press ink though the first time and change that up the second time. One thing I do like about the Better Press inks is that they're small and compact, and it seems to be easier to get the ink right where you want it and not smudge them on the side as much. This gives a really nice crisp print of these sentiments, but do pay attention to when I change out the ink because you can definitely see a difference in the vibrancy maybe of it. The strip plate fits perfectly on there. It's a really nice fit. They come out really nicely. I did notice some, because this is a red dye or a brownish dye, I did notice some residue on the sides of the strips that I kind of had to sand off. So I'm wondering as I use it more if that will fade and not be a problem anymore. And so this time I'm going to use VersaFine, which is something I use a lot for my sentiments because it just gives a really nice bold black image for sentiments, and it does take a little bit longer to dry, and I'm trying this with the Spellbinders paper this time, and I feel like you can see the difference. It's like a bolder, a little bit darker print than the Better Press ink, and so it just, I mean, either works, but I just feel like the VersaFine has a more bold appearance, and I do like that. So now I'm going to use the sunflower, and like you can see on the base plate, it is much larger than an A2 size card. I am going to print it on an A2 and kind of see what I get, because you know sometimes you can use those images and have them kind of fall off the edge and it looks okay, but I'm concerned that that might not work here. But I did get some smudge on there. I do try to clean it off a little bit. I used the Hello There plate, and then I accidentally had shifted it a little bit. So it is a really beautiful, vibrant print, but I did mess up the sentiment, and I really don't like how it falls off the edge. So these are my images with the butterflies after I colored them, and I'm going to just put some cards together, and the one on the right is the Spellbinders paper with the Memento ink, and the one on the left is the other cardstock that I use with the Memento ink as well. And I colored those up with alcohol markers. And now I'm just going to use the sentiment strips, and I decided I wanted some backing there, and some of that works for layering because some of the strips are longer and some of them are shorter. So if you use like the longer blank strips with the shorter ones that have the sentiment on it, that works great to have that kind of shadow on your sentiment. But you can also use these strips if they're shorter. And obviously if you have a long one with a long one, it's not going to stick out the end. So if you just cut out the end a little off in the middle, if you cut it in the middle, then you can have a little bit of a tag showing on each end. And so the first one, I didn't need to do that because it was a shorter sentiment. But the second one, I did need to cut it in half so that the tail hangs out on each side. I also doubled up the backing so that it had a little bit more dimension on the page, because this is a fairly flat card and there really isn't a lot of depth to it. So I just wanted to add a little bit to the sentiment there. And then because this is so like the center point of the card, I wanted to make sure it was really straight. And so I used my T-ruler to make sure that those were on perfectly straight. I did trim down these panels and added a background piece so that there was some additional color there. And then I also added some bling from This Calls for Confetti, just in different spots around the cards. Because the Better Press plates have such fine detail to them, you could get away without coloring in the image and just add the background paper, the bling, and the sentiment, and you would have a really fast card. And you could make quite a few of these in a really short amount of time. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and come again. Bye-bye.